High school football season is here, and Sports on Tap has you covered all season long with in-depth coverage and analysis. You won't want to miss our
Welcome back to Sports on Tap. It's our Ohio high school football coverage. We're part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network, and it's our Week 4 recaps here for Sports on Tap. And now we're getting into the Southwestern Conference, and we'll jump right into it. As Amherst hosted Berea Mid-Park, and Berea Mid-Park coming off of a huge win at North Ridgeville. But more importantly, both teams, their fans were asked to wear blue or pink to commemorate the passing of State Trooper Kenneth Velez here, who was struck and killed in an automobile accident on Interstate 90. And the gesture was unbelievable by both teams. I mean, this is what high school football is about. Amherst sophomore linebacker, and he is a captain, Christian Velez. He's the trooper's son, was there and did a nice job carrying the flag on the field. And Berea Mid-Park's fans all dressed their part. Both fans came together here, and it was something special. And Amherst, they didn't mess around in this game. As senior quarterback Johnny Matakovich started quick for the Comets, finding Jeremy Smith for a touchdown on the Comets' first drive of the game. And then Amherst added a rushing touchdown from sophomore running back Kennedy Scagliazzo on their following drive. Then Matakovich connected with junior Evan Shaver from 12 yards out. It was 20-0 before the end of the opening quarter for the Amherst Comets, which is a little bit of a surprise, especially Berea Mid-Park's offense is tough. But Amherst wasn't stopping there, as Scagliazzo added 2 additional rushing touchdowns in the second quarter, and they extended the lead, including a 52-yard run to make the score 40-0 with just under 2 minutes to play, and this is still in the first half. The Comets entered the half with a 40-7 lead. They would get their first win of the season, and it comes at the expense of the Berea Mid-Park Titans. 54-13 is your final score. Amherst improves to 1-3, 1-2 in conference. Berea Mid-Park falls to 2-2, 2-1 in conference. Kenny Scagliazzo, 3 touchdowns. Jeremy Smith for Amherst, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. Amherst will travel to Olmsted Falls next Friday, or this Friday actually, while Berea Mid-Park will play at Midview.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that game in particular, just the outside forces surrounding it. I think if you ask, John Hunick if you minded losing that one, I don't think. Obviously, you don't want to lose it like that, but the way the emotion was going through that stadium, it's tough to, those kids, that community needed a release, and it was a first class move by Berea Mid-Park. They showed up, they supported them. So my hats off to Amherst and getting their first win, but also hats off to Berea Mid-Park for doing a first class and class act in John Hunick and making his kids understand that this is a community that was hurting with such a recent tragedy. I mean, the day before all that happened, and definitely a feel-good story for Amherst. Obviously anything you can do to alleviate the pain, even for a little bit of time, is probably is a welcome sight.
Yeah, and Amherst had some close games early on in the year, but this one, they really came out firing. So congratulations to the Comets getting their first win of the season. Now, Olmsted Falls, they traveled to North Ridgeville, which is always a tough place to play. But this was a low-scoring game, which is a little bit surprising, especially with the offense both these teams have been putting up on the year. But it did start with Spencer Linville. He had a touchdown run of 2 yards to make it 7-0 early. It was his 5th touchdown here in 2016. Then we skipped to halftime where it was 7-0 Olmsted Falls. We come out Brett Hutke to Josh Goodwin for a 26-yard touchdown, and Olmsted Falls led it 14-0. That was end of the third quarter. So a low-scoring game. As we move out, Olmsted Falls scored one more time in the fourth quarter to win big and pitch a shutout, which we haven't really seen at all in any of these games. It was 20-0. Olmsted Falls with the victory over North Ridgeville. Olmsted Falls improves to 3-1, 2-1 in conference. North Ridgeville falls to 1-3, 1-2. And Olmsted Falls running back Spencer Linville had 24 carries for 136 yards. And this is a surprising stat. North Ridgeville, Shamari Williams had 13 rushes for 50 yards. So great job by the Olmsted Falls defense as they held that North Ridgeville offense in check and pitched a 20-0 shutout. Olmsted Falls hosts Amherst Steel next week. North Ridgeville travels to Avon Lake. Our next game, Lakewood took on Avon Lake, and it started off right away. Avon Lake, Zachary Sable with a 17-yard reception from Mark Pappas, the quarterback. The kick after was good by Fox. It was 7-0 Avon Lake. Then again, Avon Lake right back at it. Carson Toy, the wide receiver, on a 37-yard reception from Mark Pappas. The kick failed. It was 13-0 after one. We head to the second quarter. Lakewood got on the board. Quentin Palmer, a 2-yard rush. The kick after was good. 13-7, Avon Lake led at that point. Then Avon Lake scored most of the way. Tyler Nelson, a 10-yard rush, and they went for two. They got it. It was 21-7. Then Avon Lake again. Carson Toy, a 5-yard reception from Mark Pappas. The kick was no good. It was 27-7. They would score one more time on a Hunter Bateman 20-yard reception from Mark Pappas. Again, the pass failed. It was 33-7 at half, and it didn't get any closer the rest of the way as Avon Lake wins big, 47-14. Avon Lake now 3-1 on the year, 2-1 in conference, as Lakewood drops to 0-4, 0-3 in conference. And Avon Lake hosts North Ridgeville next week, which should be a really good game. And Lakewood travels to North Olmsted. Now some stats, Tyler Nelson and Mark Pappas. These guys have been putting up incredible numbers. Nelson, the senior tailback who was my MVP last week, 20 carries and 174 yards. Mark Pappas, the senior quarterback, was 15 of 18 for 208 yards in 5 touchdown passes. Now, Westlake and North Olmsted. And Westlake is one of those teams that has been really impressive so far this year. And they started out with an Eric Bryce's 34-yard field goal that was good. It was 3-0. But North Olmsted would respond on a 12-yard touchdown pass from Josh Huffstetler. The kick after was good. It was 7-3 North Olmsted. But Westlake just went on a run. Trey Bylois with a 20-yard run. The kick after was good. Bylois wasn't done yet. A 5-yard pass to Connor Sterneckert. The kick after was good. We head to the second quarter, and again, Westlake. Trey Bylois on a 92-yard pass to Connor Sterneckert. At halftime, it was Westlake leading 45-13. North Olmsted did get a 75-yard run, and we don't have his first name, but his last name was Jones. Couldn't find his first name there. But for Westlake, we had Terrence Rose with an 84-yard kickoff return, and that's been his specialty. I think that's his third or fourth kickoff return this year. Kadar Robinson with a 32-yard run, and then Trey Bylois on a 9-yard run. And I'll tell you what, Trey Bylois had a great game. Again, Westlake led 45-13, and they would go on to win big, 59-13. Westlake now improves to 3-1, 2-1 in conference, where North Olmsted falls to 1-3, 0-3 in conference. Trey Bylois, sorry about that, ended the night with 198 yards passing and 85 yards rushing. He had 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. He's a conference MVP candidate for me, putting up the numbers and just being a senior leader on this team and captain. And right now, how impressive is it? Westlake last year really struggled. They're now 3-1 on the year, and they go on to face Avon next week. Kadar Robinson, too, another guy, 130 yards rushing on 12 carries and 2 touchdowns. Terrence Rose had 5 catches for 68 yards, and Connor Sterneckert had 2 touchdown catches for 97 yards. Give credit to their defense. Dante Kant, and I'll probably butcher this name, Catanzarite, I believe. He had 8 tackles.
Bless you.
I know. That one I might, if you know the pronunciation of that, definitely let us know on that. But give credit to the Westlake defense. They did a great job. Again, Westlake travels to Avon. North Olmsted takes on Lakewood. Now, my spotlight game here in Week 4 was Avon at Midview, and I think this is always one of those rivalry games you have to have as your spotlight game. And it first started off with Midview scoring and an Alonzo Banks 3-yard pass from Dustin Crum. The kick after was good. It was 7-0. Then Avon answered on a David Orlando 37-yard interception return. The kick after was good. We're tied at 7. Then Midview, 2 straight scores on a Luke Hunt 17-yard pass from Dustin Crum. It was 14-7 Midview. And then Ben Gendix on a 48-yard interception return. 2 interception returns in this first quarter is 21-7 Midview. Then Avon scored 21 unanswered points. Velazzi Pappas with a 34-yard pass from Matt Kelly was 21-14 Midview. Then Mason McElmore on a 3-yard run. It would be 21-21 at half. And then Avon, Ryan Malloy on a 64-yard run. The kick after was good. It's now 28-21 Avon, that in the third quarter. We head to the fourth quarter where Avon and Mason McElmore would run in from 9 yards. It was 35-21 Avon. And then Midview would score. Keith Johnson, who the wide receiver for Midview has had a great year, caught an 11-yard pass from Dustin Crum. It was 35-28 in the game. And then Avon, a 24-yard field goal would make it 38-28. And Avon again would score. Aaron Endrazel on a 9-yard run. Cooper's kick was good. It was 45-28. Avon improves to 4-0 on the year, 3-0 as they beat Midview, and that was a huge game. 45 again to 28. Midview falls to 3-1, 2-1 in conference. And for Avon, it was Mason McElmore, 23 rushes, 216 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Avon had 454 yards of rushing offense for them. And when you look at Dustin Crum, he actually led Midview in rushing, 21 rushes for 84 yards. Passing, Avon's Kelly had 87 yards on a touchdown and an interception, and Dustin Crum, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. And for receiving for Midview is Keith Johnson. He had 7 catches for 135 yards and a touchdown. Great game, but Avon, again, at the top of the conference. My conference MVP this week, conference player MVP, has to be Westlake quarterback Trey Bilois. He had 198 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. He also rushed for 89 yards and 2 more touchdowns. He's been really the center of that offense for Westlake, who improved to 3-1. He is my conference player MVP, and another great game for him. And they have a tough one when Westlake takes on Avon. That's going to be a really good game coming up. Now, my spotlight game of the week is a tough one, but I think I'm going to take Amherst Steel at Olmsted Falls. And I think, Amherst Steel coming off of a big-time win at Berea Mid-Park. Amherst Steel has continually improved as the season has gone on. They will take on Olmsted Falls, and that'll be a really good game in Olmsted Falls. So that's my spotlight game, guys. Any thoughts on the Southwestern Conference quickly, as it's been one of those, I guess everything kind of happened. I was a little surprised with North Ridgeville not putting up any points, but Olmsted Falls, give credit to their defense. They did a great job. And Amherst Steel, I was really impressed with their offenses. They just finally put everything together and had an impressive win.
Well, I think with their opponent, Berea Mid-Park, everything considered, these are some of the pitfalls you're going to go through with a young team that Coach Unick has right now. They've done a pretty good job putting points up, and they just ran into an opponent that was on a mission that night, and that's going to happen. The other thing I need that I want to say is just Avon's in the driver's seat right now, and I don't think there's much stopping them between now and an undefeated season.
Well, I mean, to go off of that, and I think they have to play a very impressive Westlake team. And I think that's going to be a very telling game. And I think if they can get by that, I think you're right. There's nothing stopping them from an undefeated season. But I think that game's going to be quite a battle next week. And I look forward to seeing that, hopefully, hopefully a very good game.
And I think it will be. We'll see. All right, that's the Southwestern Conference, Week 4, the recaps. When we come back, we're going to dive into the Suburban League, the American and National Division, and also the Buckeye Bucks. You know, they had a game that Sean will give an update on, and we'll go over all that. We also have our game of the week from last week, Copley and Barberton, and our look ahead to this week's game of the week. Sports on Tap game of the week coming up. We're Sports on Tap. Our Ohio High School football coverage is coming right back. Don't go anywhere.